Okay, now this may sound pretty messed up and lazy, especially for someone like me, but guess what I'm doing today? A top 10 list on my favorite songs from a certain brand. Does that sound messed up? It does. Why am I doing it? Because I can, alright? Okay, I can. Okay, I have forms. Okay, I have lots of stuff that proves I can do this. So, I don't need any of you complaining. Wait. Anyway. We all like to talk about Disney, right? If you don't, then get out. But I like to talk about Disney. It's a very fun company. I mean, I've talked about it before in many ways. Talked about how good the movies are, how good the overall company is, how underrated its theories and greediness is. I don't know why I want to bring that up. But one thing I want to talk about today that seems like something interesting are the movies they pull out with the music they have. I made a top 10 list a while back of my favorite songs from movies from the 80s, because the 80s is my favorite decade of music. But when I'm looking at a movie that's my favorite when it comes to their music, I'd say probably Disney, because they make musicals pretty well. They do, so I think maybe it's just better to think about what the movies and songs that company gives us. So what I'm going to do today is something interesting. A top 10 list of my favorite Disney songs. But now, unfortunately, I know you might hate it, but again, contracts. There are certain rules I'm going to follow, because I always have to follow rules. But here are some rules that this list is going to have, so you can understand. Rule number one. By Disney, I mean Walt Disney Pictures. I don't mean Disney by the animation company, or by the overall studio with everything, including Star Wars and Fox. I only mean Walt Disney Pictures. The company that puts out their magical fantasy films or whatever that they seem to have the best fame for. Rule number two. I'm only including songs from an actual musical film. I'm not going to be including songs from a movie that only has those songs just for the sake of having a successful soundtrack. No, I'm only including songs that were in a movie because the movie is a musical. So like, no Pixar films on this list. Rule number three. I'm only going to be including one movie per each count. I'm not going to be having two songs from one film on this list. No, each entry in this list is one different movie. So it's kind of like saying my favorite Disney movies, but ranked off of their best song. So keep that in mind. And rule number four, I'm not doing this by anyone else's fault. This is just my opinion. These are my favorites, so I don't want to cause any corruption or anything. And I decided to rank this better by looking at what songs were taken by a nomination or win at the Oscars for Best Original Song, because Disney's good for that. But yeah, with that said, I just really enjoy it, so let's get started. When You Wish Upon a Star, the song from Pinocchio. Now, spoiler alert, this is going to be the oldest entry on this list. Pinocchio was all the way back in the 40s, when Disney was just starting to put out actual feature films. And this was just the second one of Disney to create their movies. But yes, I think Pinocchio is honestly the best out of all the movies Disney has put out in the 40s. Okay, second best, Fantasia for the win. But Pinocchio is the best when it comes to this song. This song has often been considered to be the best song ever from Disney overall company. In my opinion, however, it's just number 10. It's kind of overrated, I'll admit. I enjoy the song, that's why it's actually on the list. However, people call it incredible, mind-grubbling. Is it really? For the time being, sure, but I don't really know if I got much into what music was like back then. Back then, music was mostly just, putting out new forms. It was kind of just starting to become something back then. Nowadays, you can have any kind of music to enjoy, but back then it was limited. So this song was kind of just more in the way. It felt very interesting to hear. I enjoyed what it had, but overall, it's just number 10. There's other entries on this list that are honestly a little bit catchier or more emotional or whatever. But yeah, I'm just ranking this list off of which songs I seem to enjoy the most for being either catchy or emotional. This one's somewhat emotional, but it's number 10, so I apologize. Chim Chim Cherry. Okay, who wrote this? From Mary Poppins. Mary Poppins is always a fun classic. This movie took a very good storm for its music and its dance routines, as well as its animation segments it threw in. I mean, it's overall live action, so that's the case. But, however, I will say, I really did enjoy all the songs this movie had. The best one, in my opinion, is this one, I'll admit. Okay, this actually would have been a tie. I was thinking if I were to have gone with this one or the other song that has a weird title, Supercalifragilistic. You know what I mean. I really don't feel comfortable saying it. But anyway, yeah, I had to choose between this or that. And I just went with whatever song was nominated at the Oscars. And this one was. Don't know why, but this one I'll go with. It's a great song. I mean, it's definitely has that great tone. It puts out a lot of good dance routines and definitely sets the good tone for what the movie is meant to be about. It's meant to be a nice, catchy tune film where, like, most of it is based off of what the songs are, which is weird because, again, look at that lyric. They're just gonna sing whatever you want. You could pretty much just go to that movie. They could sing a song about yeah, and it would be very catchy and awesome. That's just what I love about it. Their Necessities from The Jungle Book. Look at this. We have another film from the 60s. The Jungle Book is a fun classic that I really think deserves better than how Disney treats it. You may think Disney treats it fine, but I don't know. They just seem to not give it enough credit. Why did they remake it? Anyway, the original Jungle Book is honestly a classic for I think I have many nostalgic memories with this. Maybe even a few more, but no, I take that back. I was going to say I find it more nostalgic than Mary Poppins. I don't know if I can say that. But I can say it's just as nostalgic as Mary Poppins is. The song, The Bare Necessities, is the best one in this movie. Why? I'll just be honest. I think this whole entire movie can just throw as many much. It's like with Mary Poppins, most of the theming the film is based off of what the music is. Songs like this try to set the tone for what the movie is going to be about. It's like it's about some kid who just enjoys being in a jungle rather than an actual family. Imagine living that way. But regardless, this movie sets it well with a bunch of songs like this one. There are other songs in this movie I would have thought of, but I prefer this one the best because it's the most memorable, the most catchy, and again, it just sets the better tone of what I'm seeing in this film. Like, it's going to tell you what you know you're going to see with this. Like, you know that this kid's getting into some real crap that he has to deal with. He's like, okay, I'm living with these fellas now. Better get used to it. Almost There from Princess and the Frog. Now, this is another film that doesn't seem to get enough attention. I mean, Disney gives it fine attention, I guess. But, on the other hand, I don't really know how much more this movie got when it released. The film is the last when you consider to be the final animated movie that was 2D animated, which is sad. I really hope this doesn't act like that. I really hope we get something new soon. But regardless, the movie has a bunch of good stuff to it. There's this song that I was actually going to have trouble thinking about. At first, I wasn't thinking about putting any songs from this movie on the list. But I looked at it back and I realized this movie really does deserve more attention. I really did enjoy it more than I should. So I put this song on there. This is going to be offered. There are other songs in this movie I could have thought of, but I went with this one. One thing I want to bring up is that the song had most of it composed by Randy Newman. It's weird seeing Randy Newman, who's mostly just been with Toy Story and a bunch of other Pixar stuff at the time, putting into this actual Disney nonsense. Like, Randy Newman's just mostly composing background music to fill in the soundtrack, but now he's going to work for Disney with an actual musical and puts out this song. That's definitely a lot better than it is. I also gotta give credit to the music video. If you've seen the movie and you know when the song plays, you gotta love the way to put the song in it. It's filled with a very nice music video to end through it, so that's something. I mean, I really shouldn't count how the music video is. It really defeats the purpose of this list, but in over terms of how the song goes, I enjoy it. The other guests from Beauty and the Beast. Look at this. This one of Disney's finest. For a movie that I mostly consider to be one of my favorite anime movies of all time, why is it all the way at number 6? I'll tell you why. As great as this movie is, maybe the songs aren't the best. I mean, I'm not ranking this list by which are my favorite movies out there. These are just, what their main song is. Like, my favorite song per movie and where it ranks on this list is what I'm doing. And my favorite song from this film is this song because it just seems the most enjoyable to listen to. Some could consider the main song Beauty and the Beast, which is called that, to be my favorite, but I'll admit I kind of prefer this over that. That song was good and everything, but it was more emotional than it was enjoyable. And I know I said emotional counts, but when I look back, I prefer the way this song plays out rather than that. It just seems to have a better tone for everything. It may not fit into the story as well. Like that song may have had better assumption with the movie, but I like this song the best. It just seems to be the best to listen to. I just personally enjoy it better. And I love the way it's placed in this film. They placed every song in this movie really well. That's one thing I gotta give credit to. The way all the songs are pasted in this movie. You know, they aren't a waste of time and are actually played out pretty well. It's just not like you're just enjoying the normal life and then all of a sudden someone sings for a random reason. Imagine living in that world. But no, this movie paced out the songs better, and I enjoy it like that. Under the Sea from The Little Mermaid. Now you've heard me talk about this song before when I made my list of my favorite songs from the 80s movies. I put this song at number 9 on that list, and I put it at number 5 on this list, because despite it being very great from that, it's on this one. Now this is another opinion that's hard to think about. Most people would consider the best song of this movie to be Part of Your World, but like I said before, in my opinion that song just isn't as good as this one is. I seem to mostly prefer how catchy these songs are rather than how emotional they are. And when I'm comparing them, I like to go with the more catchy type. So I went with this one because I just enjoy it better. And again, it's pasted better. Okay, not better, but it's pasted pretty well overall. I mean, probably not the best, but I really like the way this song plays out. It's really enjoyable to listen to. I mean, I find how they play the song and how much it's just like, it's like their version of SpongeBob. Imagine SpongeBob wasn't out at the time this was released, and they're just like saying, giving ideas for what more adventures of underwater nonsense you could get into. You can pretty much just play this song for other stuff like SpongeBob or whatever movies or shows take place underwater. Like Finding Nemo, for example. This would have been a fun song to listen to in Finding Nemo, and it would have fit pretty well. Regardless, it's a nice song. I enjoy it. It's nicely enjoyable, especially throughout this film. How Far I'll Go from Moana. Now, Moana is probably going to be the more recent movie on this entire list. Just keep that in mind. And I really was debating whether I put this song lower or higher on the list. But I decided to put it at number 4. As I look back, it's a lot catchier and more enjoyable than it could have been. I mean, this is probably the one song out there that does have more emotion than catchiness. Like the Pinocchio song. And from this time over, I prefer the most emotionally enjoyable over the more catchy ones. Because I really don't know if I would have wanted to go with this one or that other song that Dwayne Johnson sang. You know which one I'm talking about. If you don't, then you haven't seen this movie, Get Out. But if you do, yeah, I was going to go with that, but I realize it's not that good. It's kind of actually overrated. So I went with this one. I just enjoy this one better. I really enjoy the tone it sets, and it's like one of those songs that plays out and you actually know what you're hearing it for. So really, it's sung perfectly and played in the movie perfectly too. I enjoy it for that reason. I probably really would prefer listening to this song more times than I've actually heard it from the movie. Yeah, is that a fun fact? I've actually heard this song on the radio or like in any background play out more than I've heard it actually in the movie. Maybe sad, but it's true. Whole New World from Aladdin. This is another song that was actually beaten out as being the most emotional, yet the better, between other songs like the Genie's song from the movie. Again, I really don't want to have to say it should be obvious, but yeah. There was a lot of debate over, but yeah, I went with this one because I enjoyed this one better. The song is just played in the best tone for the film, because, when you hear the song in the movie, you are aware of what you're seeing. You're just seeing, a fictional world. You're like, God, I wish I lived in that. I wish I didn't live in this world where I have to pay taxes and deal with child support or whatever. But no, you're in this movie. A world that's actually fun to live in. Well, kind of. Kind of racist, actually. But overall, this song really did a good job playing in the film. The way this movie plays out has this song played at the best parts. And I just prefer this song the most for the film. And this is actually going to sound weird, but as much as I despise the new Aladdin movie, I know I shouldn't bring it up, but I have to say this, I really hated that film. But the one thing I did like about that movie was their version of this song. Not the music video was kind of crappy, but
the actual song that was sung, I'll admit, the new version did a decent job reimagining this song. It did a horrible job reimagining everything else, but this song did a fine job in the movie. So yeah, I'll say that. But again, let's just talk about this film. I don't want to bring up that one anymore. This version is the original, so it's better. And yes, I enjoy it a lot. Let It Go from Frozen. Look, everyone's been talking about this song ever since the movie came out. One of the only songs that you could hear from movies from 2013 is this. Like, at the time, when you said Disney song, this was the first thing to come up. In fact, hell, even nowadays it's still talked about that much. But, look, as much as I was trying to not dive into all that excitement that people give the song, I can't. I agree with them. I was with them on it, okay? I'm not saying that because, the phrase, you can't beat them, join them. I'm doing it because, yeah, I want to join them. I love this song that much. It's just that catchy. It's that serious. I think the entire movie did a great job putting in songs from the newer Disney films. So I feel like that since it's newer of a movie, the songs may have not have worked as well. Might have just not been as memorable or fun. But there was a way that this song played that made it more memorable, or just as memorable, I won't say more, but they made this song just as memorable and enjoyable as other past Disney songs. And that's why I put it all the way up here, because it's just of how excitingly enjoyable it is. I seem to really enjoy listening to this song. It's actually another one of those songs I loved listening to outside of actually seeing the movie. I've heard the song in the movie a bunch of times, but I also was able to hear it a bunch of times outside of the movie, like on the radio or, anywhere else. It's a great song, fits in the movie well. I actually cannot blame anybody for having so much fun with it. Look, this is my favorite non-Pixar Disney film out of the bunch. So, you could say, oh, you're just putting it there because it's your all-time favorite, right? Wrong. It's my favorite Disney non-Pixar movie for a reason. This song. This song is the reason I love this movie so much. Okay? It's the first song to hear in the entire movie, and it's just one out of all the catchy songs this film has. Circle of Life is just that awesome, like, in every way possible. I mean, we get Elton John, which is great. It's one of the first times they got an actual famous singer to compose music for a Disney film. Or is it? I don't know. I need to learn this stuff. Regardless, yes, this is the first song to play, and it's a background song. No one sings it in the movie. It just plays in the background, which you could think shouldn't count since we're including musicals. But look, this is a musical, so it does count. I'm not going to let anybody tell me, oh, it wasn't sang in a movie, it was played in the background, it shouldn't count. Look, this is a musical, it counts. And it's a great song, okay? This is my favorite animated Disney film, not Pixar. One of these days I'm going to say it is better than Pixar, but now, no. It's just that great of a movie, and the songs in it is one of the reasons. So, yep, call me crazy, but I love this movie so much, all of its music would be number one. Not even just this song. I could put every song on this list to be number one. I could have just put Can You Feel the Love Tonight, Encantada, etc. Every song from this movie could just be number one, because that's how great this movie is.
Okay, so now that's over. I have better things to do, don't I? Yeah. I have a lot of better things I gotta do now, so I probably should get out of here. I'm wasting my time. Not just with this list, with my entire channel. When am I gonna get a wife?